Hashtag Throwback Thursday on Sports Night Amplified with Andile, Metro FM. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sports.
It's 14 after the hour 6. I love reading. And I read a lot. I'm getting into that Sarah Khumalo book from last week that, after she spoke so well, I thought to myself, I can't wait to get into her story. But if you love reading, then you love listening to stories. You love finding out more things about the world that you didn't know. It could be something that you could use in a conversation at a party or just for your own knowledge. And Jay, that's the kind of person I am. So whenever we get an opportunity to tell stories, and we do it very often, we do exactly that. So today we tell a story that I didn't quite live because, what was it? I was like 8 years old, 7 years old. So I didn't quite, or 19, I can't remember, but I didn't quite live the story. But as I've grown and gotten involved in sport, it's a story I'm looking forward to. Because if South African football, as far as women are concerned, was only professionalized, 2-3 seasons ago?
Well, not actually professionalized.
Do you think it's still not professionalized?
No, it's semi-professional.
If it was semi-professionalized 3 seasons ago, 3 years ago, yet the very first game Banyana Banyana ever played was 30 years and 2 days ago. I calculated this in 5 hours. Desiree Ellis joins me. She was a part of that team. She's gone on, of course, to do amazing things, including writing her own book. She'll tell us about that in a bit. I still want to hear for her when we speak about her and her journey, but I want that after the World Cup. I've not wanted to have her here because I want her after the World Cup. But she has to be a part of the story because women from all over South Africa who love this thing called football and played it had no idea what it would become. 30 years ago, 2 days and a couple of hours ago, played their very first match. Desiree Ellis, coach of Banyana Banyana, and once upon a time a captain, although not then, but a captain later on in life of Banyana Banyana. Des, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's really amazing to think 30 years ago, that's when we started.
Can you believe it's been 30 years since that first game?
It's just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing, honestly, to think back then, and you almost sort of compare it's chalk and cheese.
A lot of the ladies were in their 20s at the time. So, we've got people's grandmas who are in their 50s now who are part of that team. What do you remember about that day, 30th of May, 1993?
We were all excited. We wanted to really put up a good show. And I think the game was much easier than what we expected. I was fortunate that I scored a hat-trick along with 2 other players, but it was just too easy. And that wasn't what international football was about. But it was a start for us, dreaming of playing for the national team, coming up and trying out for the national team and then making the national team. It was, for me, a dream come true. And I think for many others.
And I want to go into it. I want to go into everything. I want to go into where did you guys stay? What was the kits like? Did they fit perfectly? Wearing your first national jersey that was ever made. I want to get into all of that. But I need to introduce somebody else into the conversation. And many South Africans might ask ourselves, hey, who is this person, Des, that you've got on here? Anthea Childs. Who's Anthea Childs?
Anthea Childs. I played with her at club football as well. She was the first captain of Banyana Banyana.
The first ever captain. In that first game against Swaziland, she was the captain.
Yes, I was the vice captain, yes.
Wow. Tell me a little bit about her.
Well, you couldn't easily get past her. She was one of those defenders that, wouldn't pull out, but very strong and made sure that, when she passes the ball, it finds someone, but very strong defender.
Well, we've got her on the line. Anthea, thank you so much for joining us. First ever Banyana Banyana captain and played that first ever game on the 30th of May 1993. She's with us on the line now, Anthea Childs. Anthea, welcome to Sports Night Amplified with Andile on the Mighty Metro FM.
Good evening, Andile. Hi, Desiree.
Hi, Anthea.
When else did you guys have a chat?
We chat often on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
She even came to the World Cup in 2019.
Oh, amazing.
Yes, we chat often.
France 2019, yeah.
Anthea, can you believe that first game, 30 years, 2 days ago?
I was actually shocked when I got the call this afternoon. We must be getting old, Desiree.
No, you forget, but I don't forget.
Yeah, but you're still in it, so I've been out of it for a while, so yeah.
But what do you remember about 30 years ago? What do you remember about that day from the morning when you guys woke up? If you were to paint a picture building up to that game from a group of women that had stars in their eyes, who never thought that it would get organized to a point where you're playing for the national team. Talk to me about that day.
I think the night before, it was a sleepless night for most of us. It was exciting. We got up the morning, we had breakfast. It just became such an amazing day because we're starting our first Banyana Banyana game. We weren't sure about Swaziland. We knew nothing about them. And we got on the field and it was 1, 2, 3. The goals just started rolling in, and at the end of the game it was 14-0. And what we did was we got to a stage where we actually said, okay, let's just have a little bit of a practice in between while we're playing. So it was amazing, and I don't think none of us will ever forget that game, the girls that played that day.
What do you remember about when you were told that you're going to captain this team? You're going to be the first ever Banyana Banyana captain.
The night that we were called, I think it was the weekend prior to that. Terry Payne called out the team, and I was sitting at the back of the hall that we were in. We'd been on the field 8 hours, I think, and he just kept on pushing us. And I sat at the back, and the whole team is up there, and they called Desiree as the vice captain. I'm still sitting there. I'm okay, well, I'm not going to make this team. And the next thing, he called my name, and it was wow. It was such a wow moment. And I could hardly walk because I'd chased myself from all the training the whole day. So, yeah, I think a little bit of cheers that day, and it was amazing.
It is the Mighty Metro FM, and it's Thursday. It's story time for you and I, where we get to sit back and just take in the stories that have changed lives, that have made South Africa what it is in some point or another. But also, it's the inspiration that comes from many of those stories that we tell here. 24 after the hour 6. Today, we're going back 30 years ago in 2 days, May 30th, 1993. It all began for Banyana Banyana. Played their very first game against Swaziland. It was a great victory that started off what we all thought, in the next couple of years, we're going to see, globe conquerors here. 14 goals were scored without a single one conceded. I've got two captains here. The very first captain, Anthea Childs, as well as the vice captain on the day, who went on to be a captain, Desiree Ellis. Desiree, do you guys even know each other? Do you know more? What was it, 23 players that were called in? Do you guys even know each other? Do you know the other players? What do you know at that time?
Well, we played against some of them, and obviously the others we did not. But very soon we started, getting to know each other. I mean, I'm still friends with Khabo Zitha from way back, Fikile Sithole from way back. We haven't lost contact. So we've become sisters now, not even ex-players.
But I wonder then, if we don't even have a professional league yet now, what were you guys playing in 30 years ago when you were called up to the national team? What structures existed?
We had a structure all over the country where we played football, just one league. There'd be inter-provincial tournaments, etc. Every end of season, but we didn't have a lot of competitions back then.
I can imagine. Anthea, what about you? I mean, what structure were you involved in football as far as a player? How do you even get recognized 30 years ago if till today we still don't have a professional setup?
When we played, like Desiree was saying, we had our interprovincials. Then we'd all gather either Durban or Cape Town or Joburg. And then from there, they would choose a national, or the team at that time was a Sofa team. And then at some stage we were issued our Springbok Blazers as well.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the Banyana came in when everything changed. So we did have a structure. A lot of girls, amazing players that we played with. Like Desiree says, we all somewhere along the line, we're all still friends and we chat to each other. We're on Facebook with each other and we WhatsApp each other. So, it was good for people to still keep that contact, and we still do that 30 years down the line.
And talk to me about the kit. When do you first see the kit? When do you first get the kit, try the kit on? Because I remember at the time, if you go back even 20 years ago, most continents, as in us here in Africa, most women's teams would get given the men's kit and they'd have to fold it up. And what was it like for you guys? Did you get your own kit? I can imagine it was kapas back then still, yeah?
We got our kits the day of the game, just prior to the game, and it was from the men's kit that we played in.
What?
So some of our shirts were a little bit too big for us, some of them were too small. So, it was the men's kit that we were given that we played in.
So you did play in the men's kit. You're not the biggest of people. How did you fit in a, helmet and kelele?
But the kit was, whichever kit I wore was always too big. It was always too big. The sleeves would be way past my elbow. The short sleeve would be way past my elbow. Even back at club level. Back in the day, nobody made kit for females. Back in the day, if you go to a sports shop, you'll get kit that's been made for men.
So you'd have to get like an extra small. Men didn't even have an extra small, so you'd have to get a small.
And it was even too big.
So even manufacturers and people that work in that industry didn't think there was anything in women's football, because if they did, they would have made the kits. They didn't even make the kits for you guys.
No, back in the day, I don't think any sports shop made a female kit.
Gee whiz. That is incredible. It's 28 after the hour 6. If you just joined us, we've got Desiree Ellis, current Banyana Banyana coach, but former captain of Banyana Banyana and vice captain on that very first match when they took on Swaziland 30 years and 2 days ago. And of course, leading the team was Anthea Childs as the first ever Banyana Banyana captain and defender as well. Anthea, let's hear it now. For nostalgia's sake, talk to me about your team. Who was part of that team? Give me some of those names.
Some of the names. We had people, Desiree's there. We had Tekile, Gloria Lelele, Sibongele, Kimola, Nati, there was Rweda Frick, Rochelle Ron, Galen Peters, Michelle Giles, Rweda Medell, Bertha King, Anna Samuels, Penny Keith, Sharon Lombard, Colette Keenan, Khabo Zitha, Esmeralda Klein, Rosie King, Gail Maple, Michelle Weinstein, and another one was Linky Solomons as well.
This?
Pretty impressive, Anthea. I'm sure you're reading from somewhere.
Captain, that's a captain's call, that.
Team sheet.
Yeah, no, we had a pretty awesome team. I remember my teammate in the midfield, Bertha King. Oof, she could do anything with the soccer ball.
Amazing player.
Oh, she could do anything. Then you had the most skillful player I ever played with or against, Khabo Zitha.
Wow.
Most skillful. Fikile Zitoli with all the tricks and all of that. Sibongile Khumalo played at the back with Anthea. They were solid at the back.
Oh, amazing memories, guys. Now, and I was thinking about this to say, many people are saying the Banyana Banyana we know now, but if anybody that's under the age of 38, even in South Africa, has no idea of the beginning. Because if this was 30 years ago, they would have been 8 years old. So anybody that's 38 years and younger has absolutely no idea of the history of where it began. And that's the importance of us telling our own stories, to make sure that they live forever, to make sure that they know that what they're seeing now has come from a deeper place than they can imagine. When you think back to 30 years ago, when you think back to those moments, and you've articulated it in your book, I'm sure, to steal a little bit from your book, Magic. Please talk to me. What do you term that era? What do you term that time?
I think back in the day when you playing, you dream of playing for the national team, and of course, it's during the apartheid era, and it never happens, and all of a sudden, our former late president Nelson Mandela gets released, and here's an opportunity for you to go. I did not hesitate. I worked in a butcher, I worked in the storeroom making all the spices for the polonies and everything. And I go to my boss and I say, listen, I got this opportunity. And he says, you decide. And I go.
In the decision, do you come back and still have a job?
No. We come back late because back in the day we traveled in a minibus and we get a puncture along the way and I come back late and he says, sorry, you absconded. Even the late Kitty Choma went to see them. They were not interested.
So you left your job and said, I'm going to try this football thing.
Yeah, I was living my dream now. I'm, disappointed in losing my job because back in the day, my parents were working class. My father passed on. My mother, what she could do. So we needed every penny. And it was when I lost the job, I needed to find part-time work. But I was living my dream. I'm not saying I didn't care, but I've dreamt of something like that for a very long time, and yet it's finally happening. And I wasn't going to stand back. I wanted to make sure that I give myself a chance to make that national team.
So because you look at it nowadays, the sacrifice you made 30 years ago is coming into fruition only now. That is favor, but also that is, planting a seed to which you have to constantly and continuously water in ups and downs, because you had no idea that would get you.
No.
As we speak now, it's still not where it's supposed to be. You rolled a dice on your life 30 years ago.
Yes, I took a chance. Not knowing that I was going to come back a day late. And those 3 years was tough. But I was living my dream. We all sometimes ask why. But I think before we know it, God has already gone ahead and put our steps out for us. And, I'm just blessed to have. I still have the jersey, that very first jersey.
Wow.
I still have it at home. I actually gave it to my brother and I took it back from him. I took it back from him and I said, I've got to have this. This is something.
I agree.
This is something.
Anthea, where's your jersey?
Sorry?
Where's your jersey from that first game?
I still got my jersey as well.
I spoke to Figile and Anna last night. They still have their jerseys as well from that game. They wish they'd collected more, but they've got that one that they've kept. Where do you keep it? What do you keep it in? Have you framed it? Have you put it up on a wall?
No, it's in my cupboard. Every now and then I take it out, look at it, and put it back again.
And when you talk to me about that moment, because that's such a key moment. It might seem frivolous, like to just take it out and look at it, but that comes with something. Talk to me about the need when you say, at this moment, what I need to do is go grab that jersey and look at it, and what it brings to you once you've done that.
I think putting the jersey on was an amazing, happy space for a lot of us because we achieved something that we thought we'd never, ever achieve. So getting there and putting that jersey on and you're playing for your country is the most amazing feeling. It's a goosebump moment, which I'm talking to you now and I get goosebumps just thinking about it. I would do it in a heartbeat tomorrow if I could. So, looking at a jersey, you still know the game, you still sit and think about that you played, and you reminisce about it 30 years down the line. So it played a big role in a lot of our lives, as Desiree said. A lot of us, we go on tour, lose our jobs, and we just come back, find something else until the next trip we had to do. So, putting on that jersey, it was all about putting the jersey on at the end of the day and playing for your country.
And also, Anthea, when you look at, you guys need it to work because as much as the South African Football Association and the world at large are saying, okay, cool, let's perhaps give women's football a big look. Let's perhaps, start getting more games going. Let's start putting a bit of a spotlight into it. With all that being said, the monetary part of it, it wasn't as many of you would have wanted, to even just have a living, a decent living.
No, not at all. There was, I think when I stopped playing, when I retired, I think the girls had just started getting a little bit of remuneration, but it wasn't much. None of us would have been able to survive on it, but we still kept going because of the game. It's amazing now that the sponsors have come through in the last couple of years. Sasol being there for so many years. I think just after I left, Sasol came on board as well. And that was amazing to see that, because you've just watched the girls get better and better as the years have gone on.
Wow. Des, you? Where does the jersey sit?
In my cupboard too. In my cupboard as well. I haven't had a chance to frame it. I have a couple of jerseys that I need to frame, but definitely in my cupboard. It's just remind me of that I'm living my dream. Reminding me that I never gave up, and when the opportunity came, I grabbed it. And whether people like it or not, we were the pioneers. We opened the doors for others, and like every generation that comes after, create more opportunities for others. That's why when we won the WAFCON, it wasn't just about us. I remember Amanda Lamini saying to me, "Coach, this is personal," and I absolutely agreed with her. It was for everybody that was involved in women's football, from the very first players and the coaches are there. It was for everyone, because even me as a player tried, and we didn't get it. So it was that big victory was for everyone. Was for that young girl back then. I mean, I wasn't the only one that lost my job. Linky Levin Solomons also lost a job, and many of the players at that time were unemployed. So this victory is for that sacrifices that they made.
You know, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, and I'm trying to liken you guys to, you know, even myself or the situation in South Africa, to say, what sort of belief must you have to lose your job for this thing that you, for some reason, see a future in? Yes, it's paid off now, but I'm putting myself in young Desiree's shoes. You know, we know the home you come from. You know, your parents and all of that. There's this big game. You're going to represent South Africa, but what does that badge really mean when you have to do so much for it and lose so much for it? That game on the 30th of May, it took everything away from you, but it gave you everything too.
It meant so much to me to play for the national team. When some of the players would go to the shop with their money that they got, I needed to think that after the first camp, there's no leave in the beginning. After the no leave, I needed to make sure that I put that money away. You know, eventually obviously after I got a job, I needed to make sure I put that, and that didn't even cover my salary because I had to take unpaid leave. But I wanted to be part of this national team so much that, and that's why I made certain sacrifices. Might seem silly now, but I really wanted to play.
If you're wondering what it is about Desiree Ellis that might prompt her to write a book, it's because this story is only a chapter that we're talking about in the book. It's called Magic. It's available now out in stores. We will get an opportunity. Well, I've just bought myself a copy. She came to give me. I said, no, I want to buy it. So I have ordered myself a copy. When she comes back from the World Cup, I would have read that book, and we're going to give that book a different ending with what she's going to go and accomplish at the World Cup. And mind you, as soon as that first whistle goes and Banyana Banyana go on that field, it's already accomplished. What then happens after that is a bonus. But that first whistle going off and Banyana playing, it's already a victory. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we've got another member of that very first squad ever joining us on the line. We had to get her opinion. We had to get her thought. Ladies, please help me. Listen to this. This is a pioneer who had something to say.
Well, I remember 93, our first game against Swaziland, which we won 14-0. The team, not yet called Banyana, coached by Terry Payne, managed by Dora Carroll. And, of course, Anthea was the captain, a solid wall in defence. Nobody could get past her. A very good player. I always remember her. And also, I would like to say about Anthea that to show you the commitment to women's football, she paid for herself to come to France, as did I, in 2019 to see the first appearance of the national team in a World Cup. So Anthea was really a player that I'll never forget and has gone down in history as one of our very best defenders.
Anthea, that's of course Fran Hilton-Smith there. I can imagine what it felt to you, for you to go and watch that first Banyana Banyana game at the World Cup. It must have been one of those, full circle moments for you.
I did it with I got there and they played the national anthem and the tears ran. It was. I just stood there and I didn't. It's an amazing feeling being part of the team. Although I wasn't in the team, I still felt that I was part of that team. Being with them in France that time while they were playing the World Cup. So yes, I will never ever forget the T19 World Cup.
She was, I think Desiree and I are both a little glassy-eyed right now, just listening to you speak about that. Des, just hearing that, we got a bit of a lump in our throats.
No, it's true. It shows the passion that they have for the game, but also once you're in Banyana, you really never leave. You wish the team the best. You support the team wholeheartedly. So you don't really leave. And for players, especially Anthea, to have come, it was really great for us to see her there. I was excited to see because, of course, once players leave, they leave the game completely. They forget about everything. That's no longer part of them, but it can never leave you.
I can imagine, though, and I know this because we did reach out to a lot of the members of that team. There are those that are still scorned by Banyana Banyana, that still feel it took away and it hasn't really replenished in what it's taken away from them. And I can imagine watching the current crop on TV every week, playing in the league, watching Banyana Banyana have the opportunity to go to a World Cup. For those days, that feel like that feel like, gee whiz, look at what's happening now on something that we built, yet it's given us personally nothing. What do you say to them?
Look, back in the day, there wasn't a lot for us. And we were the pioneers in trying to create opportunities, in trying to make things better. We didn't get the rewards that they are getting now. And I don't begrudge anyone the rewards they are getting now, because the players that come after is going to get better. So to each and every individual out there, player that played in that team, know that you have created opportunities. Know that you have made sure that the next generation to come was going to be better, was going to play more games. You might not be where you want to be. You might not be where you think you should be, but it's a sacrifice that we all made. And for some, like me, I stayed in the game. When I got dropped, I stayed in the game. I wanted to stay in the game, and I'm just blessed that I'm in this position. But there were some tough times for all of us, in different ways. I want to say to you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you did for the national team. At the time, it might have meant nothing, but it means so much. If you look back and you see where the players are now, it's all thanks to you for what you've put in.
Well, let's speak to one other one, a wizard with her feet. Namhlanje abokabo inyawo ezokuhamba kuphela, but back then, Khabo Zitha now joining us on the line. Khabo.
Yebo. Good evening.
Good evening, Kabzala.
Hi, Khabo.
Khabo, I've got Anthea here. I've got Desiree here as well. We're going back to 30 years ago. I asked them the same. I'm going to ask now. Can you believe that first game was 30 years ago? 30.
Yeah, Baba, 30 years. Yo, it's century. It's a century. Hey, good evening, Anthea. How's it, my Mati?
Hi, Khabo. I'm good.
Jealous me mentor.
Yeah, I was with.
But Khabo, talk to me about your memory. If you were to tell a child, if you were to tell them about 30 years ago, that day, you came in, I think, just after half time, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly. Talk to me about that day. Talk to me about your feelings. I mean, I can imagine now.
Yeah, and people were sitting on the stand and we were like, "Guy, this coach, how can you put Khabo on the bench?" And I was like, "Hey, this guy." Okay, second half, then they said, "Okay, warm up," and then we warm up for the entire first half, and we didn't get a chance. Second half, then I got a chance. Yo. I mean, I really I was talented. You can ask my former teammates. They know, I risked my legs with everything when I had the ball on my feet. I regarded myself as a PlayStation. I was in Ncube, yo. Like sometimes I would surprise myself and like, how did I go about passing that defender in that fashion and score that beautiful goal? And Desiree, most of the time, because she was the one who was motivating the team, she would like, come on, guys. And he would come to me and say, Kiki, so score net one goal. So that when we go to maybe we're going to Angola for the second leg, we go to Angola, we know you are 1-0 up, right? Right, and by that time, maybe like I struggle a lot with my injuries. I think they were the stumbling block for me continuing playing the game. But over and above, I enjoyed being part of the team from the first day, first minute, first second, from the very first beginning of the selection. When they selected the national team, we were like 200. Remember, there's it in the 18th day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we 7 aside, and they selected a lot of girls, and they said, okay, we are going to form a national team. We will see. Let's form a team, because we can see there's talent, because there was a lot of talent. There was a lot of us. Yeah, so then we got selected. I think we were 200 plus, or a lot of us. Then the team went to be trimmed down to 180, 160, 120, 80, 60, 40, 20, 18 starting lineup. We found ourselves there. And I became the top goal scorer of the national team with the support from my teammates.
Oh, man, she's got a brand new book out. Currently works for the South African Football Association. Growing the book and growing the team is Desiree Ellis. It's called Magic. So do go check it out. Were you guys surprised when you saw Anthea? Maybe let me ask you this and I'll go to Khabo with it. Were you surprised when you saw what the stadium looked like in terms of the fans that had come out?
Yes, you mean, yo. The arousal at the stadium, especially in Nigeria, like when we got our first shock, we played against Nigeria when we lost 4-1, and that was our first loss, I think, not as when we the official games. So we went there and we are playing in this big stadium, and it's a gravel, and it's 100.
It's a gravel.
Yeah, 180 degrees. And they were threatening us with Messi Akibe, and you see these girls, they are professionals. And when we were standing in the tunnel before we could go through to the soccer field, and they were threatening us, telling us that we are babies. They are going to run over us. And we were already scared, and Des will always, and Anthea will always cheer us up. Come on, man, be strong. Let's go in there. Let's go fight for ourselves. We need this. We need to prove that we can do this. We were well up 4-0. First I think first half they were leading us by 3-1, and then Patricia Karaji scored a goal, and then we got that at least we'll get a comeback. They scored the last goal, then we lost, and then when we came back home, then we decided, I know we are going to revenge. They sent us bees. There's got 99 stings of bees in her head. She almost died.
She was. Anthea, the support was always, especially in Vosloorus, I mean, I know this game wasn't, was a little bit different, but I just wonder, were you ever surprised with the sort of support that Banyana Banyana got? I mean, the stadium would always be packed. People would come out in numbers. They knew the players by name. But did you ever wonder, why? What's going on? Why is there so much support? Why is the stadiums getting packed?
I think the stadiums were packed because there were a lot of youngsters like us that wanted to play, and for women to play. I don't think the guys thought that we could actually play. So for them to come out and see this, and then that just generated more people coming down to the games after that, and they started following the girls. Every game we played, they would come into the stadiums and fill up the stadiums. So it was actually amazing to have these guys and the little ones also running around there wanting to watch the women play soccer. And then a lot of people were given nicknames. As soon as you touched the ball, people were given certain nicknames. Because
Which ones do you remember? I
was called Toby sometimes.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, Tovi.
Why Beku Tovi Khabo?
Hey, we were sharp at the same time. He stopper is the prop, is prop. Yeah, like when Anthea is there, there's no passing. And then you find Sibongile Khumalo now, that one is Bona. Like you are supposed to play for Bafana Bafana. Like if Shy sees a kid hanging out in Shy, yo.
Khabo, before I let you go, they're kids who, not even kids, adults who have children of their own now, who are in their 30s, who have no idea of the history of this country's football, particularly when it comes to women, because they were just too young at the time. What would you like to tell them about the journey that Banyana Banyana has traveled? What would you like them to know about 30 years ago and beyond?
Yeah, firstly, I would love them to know that when life is not easy, never give up. Keep pushing and follow your passion, because nobody said it was going to be easy in life. So we always strive to be the best that we can be. And I think everyone that has passion, like you need to stick to what you know best. And everything else will fall off, then the positive will come out of it.
Khabo, do you regret anything? Do you regret deciding to play football?
I will do it again. I will do it 10 times again. Like sometimes when I'm watching Banyana Banyana, like when Desiree brought it home, I was like standing on my feet on my sofa, and I have a 7-year-old son, and he was like, I'm the kid in the house, you can't be standing there. And I'm like, I'm waiting for the last whistle. Like I was shivering, thinking that Morocco is going to equalize. When the last whistle blast, like I could sense that and feel that, the platform that we laid, the foundation that we laid, it's powerful enough, because now, like, we are reaping what we have sown,
Oh,
it was a healing process, yes.
So that was a healing. That's what healed you. That was the healing process. That's amazing.
Yeah.
To be so selfless, so altruistic, that you say that watching something you built being conquered by other people is what healed you is just so beautiful.
It's giving me, making me emotional.
That is so
very
beautiful.
Emotional, because I would get messages from Khabo during the tournament, and the friendship that we have, and all of those things. And when you think back to the sacrifices, I think it was all worthwhile. For some it might not be, but I think it was all worthwhile, because we wouldn't be where we are if we didn't start there.
Sure.
Khabo, I appreciate you. Anthea, what about you? Those that are listening now, what do you want them to know about
youngsters that are listening now? You want to dream big. You can go out there and be where all those girls are playing for Banyana Banyana now. Just go out there and enjoy the game, have fun. That's what it's about, having fun and playing the game.
Anthea Childs, the very first ever Banyana Banyana captain. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you sharing your story, and we will dream big. Thank you.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk to you guys as well.
We appreciate it. Des, we're going to speak about what you have in front of you. Desiree Ellis, the book. It's called Magic. I can imagine that there's a lot from, from Salt River to the 2023 World Cup. I'm going to get into it, read it, so that when you come here, I ask you questions based on your life as it is there. But of everyone that played that day in football, we watch what you've done. And I want to read something to you, because it's one of my favorite quotes and sayings. And it goes to what Anthea said, but it goes to what Khabo said as well. A society grows great when old men and women plant trees in whose shade they shall never sit.
And they planted it. The tree was planted that day. And look where we are now. It's been watered, nurtured, and it came to fruition, I think, with the WAFCON first. And all the dreams and hopes of everyone else is part of that. Going to the World Cup is part of that dream. You might not have been there physically, but you've been part of that dream.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.